So in this video, I just want to give some of my thoughts on essentially quitting your job with no backup plan. So about a year ago, I guess a little backstory, I graduated with the double major in finance and accounting. And school, like I was always pretty good at school. I had a 4.0 GPA with the double major. But like I never really was interested in the office, but I did it anyway. I got a good job. I applied for the FDIC and got a really good job for a kid my age. I worked with a lot of older people, and that was cool. But I just never really had any interest, working behind a desk, working in an office. I really just wanted to always be an entrepreneur. But anyway, so I did that, and like I said, I wasn't passionate about it, but I was like, man, it's a good paying job for a kid my age. And so I did it for 11 months, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just super easy. It was super easy, a really easy way to make good money for a kid my age. And I was living with family, so I wasn't even paying expenses there. I was saving a lot of money, but it just wasn't for me. And so after 11 months, I had, the savings, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a second, to quit. So I quit. But the thing is, I quit with absolutely no backup plan. So it's not like I had a business going or anything. I kind of had some ideas here and there while I worked, but I didn't have anything successful going. I just quit because I was miserable mentally. So would I recommend this? I would say probably not. I think from a mental health perspective, it was very good. I have zero regrets, which is arguably more important than a monetary perspective anyway. But still, you got to make sure, I'll say this, you got to make sure that you have enough saved up to where you're comfortable, quitting. Like I would say at least a year's worth of living expenses saved up. So mentally, great decision. Financially, terrible decision, especially if you don't have a backup plan. Because my whole thing was, I'm gonna have full time to grind on a business idea, and so it's gonna work out. And because I've always been pretty entrepreneurially, talented, or at least had an interest for it. But I think the best way to start a business is to encounter a problem in the job market that you're currently in. So for me, it would be banking, like FDIC, it'd be banking. And see, I didn't go that direction when I quit. So I kind of was just trying to formulate business ideas out of the blue by watching YouTube videos. And it just wasn't working out because YouTubers, a lot of them really just want to sell a course, or they want to make videos about topics that are trending, not actually what is useful. I would actually argue that the most useful videos out there are the ones that don't get a lot of views because they're so not flashy. So me looking to YouTube for a way to start a business, for business ideas, was not a good strategy at all. And I learned that the hard way. But yeah, so here I am a year later. I am actually looking to go back in the workforce. I'm not looking forward to it, but just to support a family and such, I think it's the right decision. Like I said, I think you shouldn't even consider quitting your job unless you have at least a year's worth of living expenses saved up, because that gives you time to start a business, fail a business if you do fail, and still get back in the workforce. But yeah, those are some thoughts there. And I'm going back in the workforce. One of the main reasons I am is because I want to learn more about whatever I go into, so that if I do encounter a problem within the job that I'm going into, then I can start a business around that problem, so that I'll actually have real world experience with that problem itself, since that's the job I'm going to be doing. And like I said, I think that's the best way to start a business, is to encounter a problem within the field that you're currently in. And that's what I didn't do this time. So that's like my biggest piece of advice, is don't quit a job and then try to solve a problem. Go ahead and like find a problem that you currently experience, preferably in the field that you're in. So because you have essentially a leg up, like you have an advantage because you actually work in that industry, and then build a business around that problem rather than trying to find someone else's problem and thinking and then you think you can solve it better than other people in that industry. It's like you're wrong. Like even if you're a genius, someone who's been doing it for 10 plus years will know more about that industry than you. It doesn't matter how smart you are. And that's what I've learned the hard way. Just thinking that I'm smart, I can figure it out. But it's like, man, maybe you can figure it out, but it's going to take you a lot of time. It's not like you can figure something out better than someone who's been in the industry for 10, 20 years, no matter how much smarter you are. And so, yeah, that's kind of my piece of advice on quitting a job on a whim, is probably have some sort of game plan. Like I said, I was okay because I had enough savings, but I just happened to be fortunate in that sense. I think you really shouldn't take that risk unless you absolutely can, because I'm here to just humbly admit that I failed like starting a business. I made a little money here and there, but it wasn't nearly enough to like create a salary. And so I'm going back in the workforce. I'm not super thrilled about it, but also I understand that I have to support a wife and then future kids. And like I said, hopefully for the industry that I go into, I'll be able to see kind of like some problems or some loops within the system, and then I can build some sort of little side hustle business around those kind of flaws that I've found within the current system, because I've learned a lot about AI and stuff in my year of not working a desk job. So I think I can really use those AI skills that I've learned to build a good business, given that I find a good problem that actually needs to be solved. And so those are kind of my thoughts on randomly quitting your job with absolutely no backup plan. Like I said, it didn't really work out from a financial perspective, but from a mental health perspective, it did. And so that was awesome. But the only reason I was able to do that is because I had savings. So I would highly recommend to have plenty of savings before quitting your job on a whim, just for kind of like liability purposes. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Peace.